Most men spend their lives searching for freedom. They think freedom means having more money, a bigger house, a better career, more success. They keep running believing that happiness is waiting somewhere ahead. But then something unexpected happens. They reach their 60s, and for the first time they stop running. That is when many older men discover a shocking truth. The freedom they spent decades chasing had very little to do with any of those things. In fact, many older men discover their greatest freedom only after most of their life has already passed. And that realization is both beautiful and heartbreaking because they often wish they had learned it much sooner. In the realm of psychology, the first half of a man's life is defined by accumulation and social conditioning. But the second half of life, if a man is wise enough to embrace it, is defined by psychological liberation. Today we are going to explore the architecture of the sovereign masculine mind. We will dissect the 7 profound layers of freedom that older men discover and why true liberation is found not in acquiring more, but in letting go. Let us uncover the truth. The freedom of not needing approval. For years, many men live according to other people's expectations, their parents, their spouse, their co-workers, society. From the moment a boy enters the world, he is conditioned to seek validation. He is taught that his worth is directly tied to how well he performs for the crowd. They worry about what others think. They fear criticism. They seek approval. In psychology, this is known as the imaginary audience. Men will take jobs they hate, buy things they cannot afford, and suppress their true personalities to appease this invisible jury. Then one day, they realize something profound. No matter what they do, someone will always disagree. Someone will always judge. Someone will always complain. If you are generous, they will call you weak. If you are assertive, they will call you arrogant. Once an older man internalizes the mathematical impossibility of pleasing everyone, a huge, suffocating burden disappears because they stop living for applause and they start living for themselves. The older man realizes that the only judgment that ever truly mattered was the one he made when looking in the mirror. He reclaims his identity, and the freedom of unapologetic authenticity is his ultimate reward. The freedom of saying no. Many older men look back at the timeline of their existence and realize they spent entirely too much of their lives saying yes. Yes to obligations. Yes to favors. Yes to requests. Yes to responsibilities they never actually wanted. Why do we do this? Because as men, we suffer from the martyr complex. We are terrified of disappointing people. We equate our masculine utility with our willingness to sacrifice our own comfort for the convenience of others. But age teaches a brutal, powerful lesson. Every unnecessary yes comes at an exorbitant cost. It costs you your time, your energy, your peace of mind. When a man reaches his senior years, his biological energy naturally shifts. He realizes that his time is a rapidly depleting currency. He can no longer afford to finance other people's convenience with his own exhaustion. And once a man learns to say no without a single ounce of guilt, life becomes miraculously lighter. He learns that no is a complete sentence. It requires no justification, no elaborate apology, and no negotiation. By finally saying no to the endless demands of the world, he is simultaneously saying yes to his own survival, his own hobbies, and his own peace. The freedom of letting people leave. This is arguably one of the hardest, most agonizing lessons in the human experience. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some friendships naturally fade. Some romantic relationships end. Some people we deeply trusted will inevitably disappoint us. When we are younger, we fight desperately to hold on. We suffer from the sunk cost fallacy, the belief that because we have invested years into a person, we must force the connection to survive. We chase, we beg, we try to fix everything. We tolerate disrespect and absorb toxic behavior just to avoid the painful sting of abandonment. But older men eventually learn a profound stoic truth. You cannot negotiate loyalty, and you cannot debate someone into valuing your presence. Forcing people to stay only creates prolonged, agonizing suffering. Peace often begins when you stop forcing people to remain in your life. When someone decides their path no longer aligns with yours, the older man opens the door and helps them pack. He does not harbor bitter resentment. He simply accepts the changing of the seasons. He realizes that the departure of an inconsistent, draining person is not a loss. It is a mandatory psychological cleansing that makes room for absolute peace. The freedom of being alone. Many people are utterly terrified of solitude. They view an empty room as a prison cell, and they view silence as an enemy. They fill their lives with background noise, toxic relationships, and endless social events just to avoid being alone with their own thoughts. Older men, however, often discover its hidden gift. A quiet morning, no pressure, no drama, no expectations, just absolute unshakable peace. We must draw a distinct psychological line between isolation and solitude. Isolation is the pain of feeling disconnected when you desperately crave the tribe. Solitude is the glorious, deliberate state of being connected to yourself. For the first time in decades, many men learn how to truly enjoy their own company. They realize that a romantic partner was never the missing piece to their puzzle. They were a complete picture all along. And once a man becomes his own best friend, loneliness loses much of its power. He realizes that being happily alone is a superpower that renders him completely immune to the manipulations of the world. The freedom of having less. When they were younger, many men believed that more was always better. More money, more possessions, more status. They operated under the illusion that wealth is defined by accumulation. They spent decades building an empire of objects, trying to fill an internal void with external things. But life teaches a very different, very harsh lesson. Every possession requires attention. Every commitment requires energy. Every obligation carries a psychological weight. You do not own your possessions. Eventually, your possessions own you. You become the anxious janitor of your own lifestyle. Many older men discover that true freedom often comes from needing less, not having more. When a man strips away the superficial expenses designed purely for societal validation, he finds that living simply requires very little. Less debt means less pressure. Less pressure means less stress. And less stress equals absolute freedom. He finds a wealth that no billionaire could ever purchase. An unburdened, minimalist mind. The freedom of forgiving yourself. Perhaps one of the greatest, most devastating burdens men carry is regret. Mistakes, failures, missed opportunities, the things they wish they had done differently as fathers, as husbands, and as men. For years, those memories follow them. Society tells men to man up and move forward, but it never teaches them how to process guilt. So, they carry it. They ruminate. They replay the worst moments of their lives on a continuous loop in their minds. But wisdom eventually teaches something of paramount importance. You cannot change yesterday. No amount of guilt can change the past, and no amount of anxiety can control the future. You can only learn from it. Self-forgiveness is not about justifying bad behavior. It is about accepting your own flawed humanity. You made the best choices you could with the emotional tools you had at the time. And when a man finally looks in the mirror and forgives himself for his imperfections, a tremendous life-altering weight disappears. He frees himself from the prison of his own mind. The freedom of accepting life as it is. Young men often spend years fighting reality. They operate in a state of constant cognitive dissonance, wanting life to be different, wanting people to change, wanting the past to disappear. They believe that if they just exert enough force, enough anger, and enough willpower, they can bend the universe to their exact expectations. But older men eventually discover a deeper Stoic truth. Amor fati, the love of one's fate. Peace comes when you finally stop arguing with reality. Life is imperfect. People are imperfect. The body ages. Tragedy strikes. And so are we. You cannot control the weather, the economy, or the behavior of other people. But you retain absolute control over how you respond to them. Acceptance is not surrender. It is the highest form of spiritual intelligence. When an older man stops demanding that the world be perfect, he finally allows himself to be happy within its imperfections. Acceptance creates a permanent freedom that struggle never can. The freedom that senior men discover is not found in the acquisition of things. It is found in the shedding of illusions. It is the realization that you were holding the key to your own prison cell for your entire life. To the younger men watching, do not wait until you are 60 to drop the heavy stones you're carrying. You can claim this freedom today. And to the older men watching, you have finally arrived at the summit. Never apologize for protecting the peace you spent a lifetime bleeding to find. If this journey through the masculine psyche has resonated with your soul, I want to hear your truth. Share in the comments which of these 7 freedoms was the hardest for you to achieve, and the moment you finally let go. Your wisdom will help guide those still fighting through the storm. If you found value in this deep dive, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. We are dedicated to uncovering the history and truths that have been buried. Cultivate your future with us. The next treasury of wisdom will be opened very soon.